Hello and welcome to another Magic the Gathering unboxing. Today we're going to be taking a look at the 2015 Core Set 2-Player Clash Pack. There's been a little while actually between when this was released and when I've unboxed it, simply because I was dealing with other projects, but I think this actually fits in quite nicely as a compare and contrast, because last week I unboxed the Khans of Tarkir event deck. So the idea is now that, as opposed to every single set having its own event deck, Wizards are alternating between the 2-player Clash Pack, which first came out with the 2015 core set, and then the event deck. And Khans of Tarkir had an event deck. That was the first expansion set of the Khans of Tarkir block, and then the second set from that block will have a 2-player Clash Pack, and then the third set of the block will be back to the event deck, and so on. So what's going to be interesting is that because the way blocks rotate and are composed is going to be changing after the 2016 core set, and we're going to lose core sets completely, and we're just going to move over to 2-set blocks. It'll be interesting to see if there's any change in this sort of Clash Pack event deck cycle. So let's actually have a look at and see exactly what a 2-player Clash Pack is, because at first sight, if you just look at the box from the front, it looks very similar to a dual deck. So this is specially created for players who want to up their game and play on the next level. It contains 2 decks ready for you to crack open and battle with a friend, it says here. And then you can take your favourite cards and combine them into a single deck capable of laying down some serious damage at Friday Night Magic, apparently. The Clash Pack includes 6 premium cards, 3 per deck, with alternative art not available elsewhere, as well as a deck box big enough for both decks. So this raises lots of interesting questions and interesting observations. The 2 decks and the fact that we've got 6 premium cards in here, so with alternative artwork, is very much a nod to dual decks. However, unlike a dual deck, with a dual deck you get cards from all over Magic's history. That's the sort of appeal, I think, of them. With these, you would get cards that were standard legal at the time this was released. So that's one thing we need to watch out for, is because of its timing, 2015 core set came out, and then 3 months later stuff rotates out. So it'd be interesting to see what core set cards this contained, which obviously won't be a problem, but if there were any cards that were in the set that will have rotated out. The other thing is that you take this and combine it, and like they say, you can play it at Friday Night Magic, so pitched in that respect very much like an event deck. So in the contents, 2 ready-to-play 60-card decks, 6 premium cards with alternative art, a deck box, a strategy insert, and a Magic Rules reference guide. So let's open this up and actually have a look at the 2 decks, and also try and get a feel for how you're supposed to combine these, whether there's a guidance, whether you're just on your own and you just work out what's best to keep, what's best to remove. So let's try and find all these components. So we've got a pretty sturdy insert here. What else have we got? Okay. There's our new style rules reference. So this is a condensed form of the old guide for playing, so it just really explains the parts of a turn, and in addition how you get started, and really just explaining the different components of a card and how you generate mana in Magic, which is obviously pretty important. So here's our single large deck box. This is our guide for the Clash Pack. Okay. So this is good. Let's have a look at just get us a feel. So we've got some stuff from Journey into Nyx, Theros, Born of the Gods. What we're looking out for is anything that might be from Return to Ravnica. Because if we are, those cards are now going to be non-standard legal. It's unlikely they'd be in there, but let's just have a look. I don't see anything. It's all Theros, Journey into Nyx in there, and the actual core set itself. So there shouldn't be any problems there. So these cards are still viable and playable in standard. So there's information about playing the Fate deck here. It appears the deck uses the Scry mechanic and Bestow, and suggesting that you start summoning quick flying creatures, and mentions about key creature, for instance Kiora's Follower and Hypnotic Siren, and also mentions the fact that you can take control of an opponent's best creature. And then Fury, so that's a blue-green deck there, and then Fury is red-green. And information about playing the Fury deck. So we've got Monstrosity, we've got Devotion in here, we've got Elvish Mystics, so obviously we've got Mana Ramp, we've got large creatures, not surprising in a green-red build. And it mentions a key card here. It mentions Nylea's Disciple. So is there any mention about combining? Oh, here we go. Bring your own deck. So it's saying you may have purchased. Hang on, there we go. Well, you may have purchased the Clash Pack thinking you have two decks worth matching against each other, ready for fierce battles. You have more than that. They can be combined in an almost infinite variety of ways to make new decks. Listed to the right is a deck that takes advantage of the Fate deck's strong blue card drawing and support spells, and the Fury's deck's mana producing and big creatures. So this is their recommended combination deck, which is a green-blue deck in there. A bit of mana ramping. You can see at the top, the Elvish Mystic. And also does incorporate, like, or does recommend, suggest, very similar to an event deck, there is a sideboard there. Okay. So let's crack these open. Let's start off with the one with Prognostic Sphinx on it, which would be the Fate deck, so that's the blue-green. I'm just looking on the sheet and just seeing what we've got with new artwork, because three of these cards are supposed to have new artwork. So the first card with new artwork is going to be the Prognostic Sphinx. We've got 3 and 2 blue for a creature Sphinx. It's a 3/5. It has flying. Also an ability on it to, you can discard a card. Prognostic Sphinx gains hexproof until end of turn. Tap it. Whenever Prognostic Sphinx attacks, scry for 3. So with scry, just as a reminder, you look at the top 3 cards, in this case, because it's scry 3, of your library, then put any number of them on the bottom of your library and the rest on top in any order. Prophet of Crufix. The Prophet of Crufix is also alternative artwork. It's also a rare. It's 3 green-blue for a 2/3. Untap all creatures and lands you control during each other player's untap step. You may cast creature cards as though they had flash. Temple of Mystery is also alternative art. So it looks like they brought all the alternate art to the front here. It's a land. It's rare. Temple of Mystery. Enters the battlefield tapped. When Temple of Mystery enters the battlefield, scry 1. So there's scry lands. Tap green or blue to add, tap to add green or blue to your mana pool. Hypnotic Siren is another rare, so single blue for a 1/1. So now we're moving on to all the regular cards. None of these have alternative artwork. It's Enchantment Siren. It's a 1/1. Has a bestow of 5 and 2 blue. So again, just to refresh people with, if you're not familiar with some of the mechanics in the Theros, Born of the Gods, Journey to Nyx sets. So bestow, what that did, if you cast this creature for its bestow cost, it's an aura spell with enchant creature. It becomes a creature again if it's not attached to a creature. Has flying, you control enchanted creature, and enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has flying. Ether Spouts, another rare, 3 and 2 blue, instant. For each attacking creature, its owner puts it on the top or bottom of his or her library. Curse of the Swine. So X and 2 blue, you get to exile X target creatures. For each creature exiled this way, its controller puts a 2/2 green boar creature token onto the battlefield. Leaf Crown Dyad. So we're moving on to some uncommons here, so we're probably going to see multiple copies here. So we've got 2 of those. We've got Omen Speaker in the deck, and there are 2 of those. Vaporkin is also in the deck. And there's 3 Vaporkins. Kiora's Follower. 2 of those. No, 3 actually. Frostlink from M15. 2 of those. Nimbus Naiad. 2 of those. Thassa's Emissary. 2 of those. So there seems to be a lot of 2-ofs here. Horizon Chimera. And 2 of those. Horizon Scholar. And now we've got the forests and obviously the islands as well. Now in this deck you have 7 forests and 17 islands. So underneath all of this is probably a number of support cards in the form of instants and sorceries. Here we go. So from the core set we have Negate, and there are 2 of those. We have Pin to the Earth, Voyage's End, Divination, 2 of those. Griptide, 2 of those. A couple of Jace's Ingenuity. And that is it for the Fate deck. So now we'll move on to this Fury deck. Let's actually open this. There it is. So you may have noticed both of the lead cards in this, the Prognostic Sphinx and the Hydra Broodmaster, are foil. Now, well, you can see that on camera. So Hydra Broodmaster, 4 colourless, 2 green for a 7/7, and its abilities XX green, Monstrosity X. If this creature isn't monstrous, put X +1/+1 counters on it and it becomes monstrous. When Hydra Broodmaster becomes monstrous, put X XX green Hydra creature tokens onto the battlefield. And that's alternative art as well. Font of Fertility, another one with alternative art. Single green enchantment, 1 and a green, sacrifice Font of Fertility, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. And Fated Intervention, I suspect, is also, yeah, that's alternative art. So 2 colourless, 3 green, instant, put 2 3/3 green Centaur enchantment creature tokens onto the battlefield. If it's your turn, scry 2. And now moving on to the rest of the regular artwork. Courser of Crufix, which is a rare. It's 2 and 2 green for 2/4. Play with the top card of your library revealed. It's another one of these enchantment creatures. So you may play the top card of your library if it's a land card. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Arbor Colossus, 2 and 3 green for 6/6. Another rare. It's got reach, and for 3 and 2 green, you get monstrosity 3. So again, if this creature is monstrous, put 3+1/+1 counters on it, and it becomes monstrous. When Arbor Colossus becomes monstrous, destroy target creature with flying and opponent controls. Genesis Hydra from M15 is in the deck. X and 2 green. It's got a 0/0, so there must be something within the ability here that would give it some form of toughness, so it just doesn't die the moment it hits the battlefield. When you cast Genesis Hydra, reveal the top X cards of your library. You may put a non-land permanent card with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto your battlefield. Then shuffle the rest of your library. Genesis Hydra enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Nykthos Shrine to Nyx is a legendary land, and not surprisingly a rare. So you tap it, add 1 to your mana pool. For 2 colourless, you can tap it, choose a colour, add to your mana pool an amount of mana of that colour equal to your devotion to that colour. And now we're moving on to the ramping. We've got Elvish Mystic, and there is going to be, full complement, 4 Elvish Mystics in the deck. Generator Servant, 2 of those. Voyaging Satyr, 2 of those. Nessian Courser, I think, just 1. Reclamation Sage, 2 of those. Ill-Tempered Cyclops, a couple of those. Karametra's Acolytes, also a couple of those. Actually, no, 3 of those. Nylea's Disciple, 3 of those. Nissian Game Warden, 3 of those. Nemesis of Mortals, a couple of those. Then we have our basic lands, of which there are 9 mountains and 15 forests. So similar to the other deck, there's one particular colour there's more of than the other. And in this one it's forests. Wow, there's not going to be many support cards, if any. We've got Lightning Strike, so this is our red burn. And we have 2 of those. We have Plummet, which is going to help us deal with any flyers. And there's 2 of those. And Boulderfall, 6 and 2 red. Instant Boulderfall deals 5 damage, divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or players. So there we have the 2 individual decks. On this side we have the Fate deck, on this side we have the Fury deck. I'm not going to at this point attempt to actually put these 2 together in the way that they show, because sometimes that's a bit fiddly to do on camera, but I will just show up for anybody that's interested. Let me just see if I can go through so you can actually see what the resulting, their suggested deck would look like. So they're suggesting 4 Elvish Mystics, 1 Hypnotic Siren, 2 Voyaging Satyrs, 3 Cura's Follower, 1 Nessian Courser, 1 Courser of Crufix, 3 Karametra's Acolyte, 2 Horizon Chimera, 3 Nessian Game Wardens, 1 Prognostic Sphinx, 1 Prophet of Crufix, 1 Arbor Colossus, 1 Hydra Broodmaster, 2 Nemesis of Mortals, 1 Genesis Hydra. The other spells are Font of Fertility, there's 1 of those, 2 Divinations, 1 Ether Spout, 2 Jace's Ingenuity, 1 Fated Intervention, 1 Curse of the Swine, The land base is one, so it's basically taking the non-basic lands from both of the decks. So that's the Nixos Shrine to Nyx and the Temple of Mystery. And also making out the basic land side of things are 16 forests and 17 islands. So again, green heavy build. And the sideboard is 2 plummets, 2 negates, 2 omen speakers, 2 pin to the earth, 2 reclamation sage, 2 griptide, and 3 Nylea's disciple. Okay, so there you have it. That's the Fate and Fury decks on there, the 2-player Clash Pack from the 2015 core set. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.